I lied about knowing how to cook on my first date. Not a little lie either. She asked, "Can you cook?" And because I was trying way too hard to impress her, I said, "Yeah, pretty well actually. I had made eggs twice. One time, I burned them." Her name was Chloe, and somehow the date went amazing. We talked for almost 3 hours. At the end, she smiled and said, "Then you have to cook for me sometime." I laughed. Definitely. I assumed that meant someday. It did not. The next morning, she texted, "Dinner tomorrow? Your place?" I stared at my phone for about 30 seconds. Then I searched how to cook something impressive for someone who actually knows food. I spent the entire day watching cooking videos. I bought ingredients I couldn't pronounce. I bought a knife because the one in my kitchen couldn't cut butter. And by the time she arrived the next evening, my apartment looked like a small restaurant had exploded. She walked in, looked around, then looked at me. "You really went all out." I smiled confidently. Yeah, I like cooking. Inside, I was experiencing a medical emergency. I started making pasta. Easy, right? Except I somehow dropped the entire sauce container. Then I oversalted the noodles. Then I realized I'd forgotten to turn on the oven. Then the smoke alarm went off. Chloe stood there watching me panic. Finally, she said, "Are you okay?" Perfect. The smoke alarm screamed louder. I gave up. I sat on the kitchen floor. I lied. She blinked. "About what?" "I can't cook." Silence. "I can barely make toast." She stared at me for a second, then started laughing. Not laughing at me. She was genuinely crying. Bro! I thought I'd completely ruined the date. Then she walked over, sat beside me on the floor, and said, "Good." I looked at her. "Good? I was wondering when you'd tell me." I froze. "What?" She smiled. I knew. Apparently, she'd seen my search history when I'd asked her to connect to the Wi-Fi. She'd also noticed I'd bought 6 different kinds of pasta. "So you knew the whole time?" "Pretty much." I felt unbelievably stupid. Then she opened her bag. Inside was a container of homemade lasagna. I figured we'd probably need a backup. I started laughing. She handed me a fork. We ate lasagna sitting on my kitchen floor while the smoke alarm occasionally beeped in the background. Before she left, I apologized. "I really was trying to impress you." She smiled. "You don't have to impress me." Then she paused at the door. "But next time, I'm teaching you how to cook." I nodded. "Deal." She smiled. "And you're buying the ingredients." I laughed. "Fair." Turns out I didn't need to know how to cook to get a second date. I just needed to finally stop pretending I knew what I was doing.